Oh, welcome back to our... got you there. To our happy little home. Happy Christmas. Joyeux Noël. Feliz Navidad. I think all of them mean happy Christmas. Happy festive season. Happy secular season, if you have.
Happy holidays.
No particular bent. Yes, happy holidays from me and from Brittany. We are, 6,500 miles apart, but we feel entwined once again by the joy that is cocktails and conversation. How are you, Britt?
I'm doing wonderful, St. Nick. How are you?
Wow, very good. Yes, all the better for it being just a week away. What is it?
Cheers.
Now, 8 days away? 8 days away until I can drink and eat my body weight, be jumped upon by over-enthusiastic children, and then fall in a heap. Can't wait. Cheers.
Cheers to that. Cheers to everybody that's joining us for the final episode of 2020, our festive holiday episode. I mean, we have so much to reflect upon, be thankful for. We have an incredible guest joining us tonight and the living legend, Laffit Pincay. So I'm just happy to have everybody together again. I won't start tearing up now. I'll wait until, we're an hour and a half into the show and saying goodbye.
Yeah, and when we say that we are going to be joined by Laffit Pincay, we mean the Laffit Pincay.
Yes.
As in, for many people, still the GOAT, right?
Pretty much.
Yeah.
I mean, arguably the greatest jockey of all time, and many people would put him in the top 10 athletes ever to live. Athletes, not just riders, athletes. So I am really looking forward to speaking with him. I'm hoping my mom is watching because she is a huge fan of Laffit. Got a big crush.
And your mum has been a very big supporter of this show. She's been with us through all, and we finally counted. We're at episode 29 of the year. We started all the way back in April, and here we are.
Can you believe it?
A week before Christmas, and we're still going, somehow, amazingly.
To think that this was just an idea back when we were in full lockdown. And I know many of us are probably back in lockdown once again, 29 episodes later. And I mentioned it earlier, so many laughs, so many tears, so many great stories. Just the opportunity to sit down in a different environment with some of racing's best to just kind of peel away those layers of who are they aside from a great trainer, owner, jockey, etc. The many that we've had on this show. It's been a special few months.
So have you been quiet lately, or does the season just roll on for you?
Oh, the season rolls on. We don't stop racing, fingers crossed. The racing season continues. It's at Los Alamitos right now, Thursday through Sunday, and then traditional opening day at Santa Anita is the day after Christmas. It's not going to be the same. It's a tradition for so many fans in the area to bring their families out there the day after Christmas. Unfortunately, fans will not be there, but we'll be bringing it to you as we can, the best coverage we can with some incredible racing. So we keep on rolling. And I know for you, it goes to jump season, correct?
Yeah, we've been jumping pretty much since I came back from Breeders' Cup. We've been covering the jump racing, and we will right the way
Literally,
through.
figuratively.
Until February or March. So again, it's the same. It never really stops. And a bit like you, we've been in and out of lockdown. We've got this tiered system whereby you're in whichever grade of severity the coronavirus is at the time. So we've all just moved back into tier 3, and then we're getting a bit of grace period over Christmas, which has all been very controversial here, but it means you can get together with some of your family, and some people like it, some people don't. But anyway, we are resolving to have a good time, whatever the situation is, and just hope that you are all healthy and you've managed to stay safe for the last few months. And it's great to have you all with us. I
have to say, I envision a Christmas or holiday time in England as being quite magical. I mean, is it as magical as I dream it to be? Well,
here's the thing. I guess where you are, you would think, well, it's lovely and it's cold and it's crisp in England and those sort of London scenes. And yes, that is all great. But obviously this year's a bit different. And it's nothing like the scenes in Saratoga that I've been seeing, where they've been digging out 34 inches of snow out the front door. Actually, it's not warm here, but it's kind of wintry, wet, and sort of a mild wintry at the moment. So we could do with it. Actually, we do with the temperature dropping a few degrees and it getting a bit colder.
So we've got a few of our longtime supporters joining us here for our festive holiday episode of Cocktails and Conversation. And Jennifer Pinkerton Cook does make a point. Should we be concerned Nick's tree will give someone a seizure? I was wondering if we could just flip it all the way on. Is that possible?
What if I can
Like
take
this.
I can, yeah, I think I can probably make it a little bit. If you are generally worried for people's health.
Well, I mean, that we are. It is kind of the first and foremost how we got to this point. Oh yeah, not that way. Oh, that's lovely. Yes.
That might be.
It's very soothing.
You just keep talking.
I think that's great. Keep it like that. I think that we are missing a third of the three musketeers on this cocktails and conversation, and we would have no cocktails with the man, the myth, the legend. That is Mark Tubridy. Mark, first and foremost, happy holidays. You were in a big snowstorm recently. How are you? How's the family?
I'm doing well. For us, this is a big snowstorm because we haven't really had any snow since 2016. So we got a solid 8 inches outside. I was shoveling this morning, and honestly, I couldn't be happier to see that snow. One of the reasons why I love living in the Northeast, because you feel those seasons, you feel the holidays coming. So a week before Christmas, it's a joy to see that. But it's a joy to see you guys. I honestly miss you so much, and great to see the festive, crazy, eclectic light show behind Nick. And maybe
getting crazier.
But it's great to see you guys. How are both of you? Doing okay?
We are so good, and it's so great to see you, Mark. There was some very sad news that came to my attention the other day, which was that the 21 Club may be closing, but we are hopeful, aren't we, that this isn't the end of the line, because we all want this club, which has got so many great associations with the horse racing industry, to stay open, to be an intrinsic part of New York social life. So tell us where we're at.
Yeah, 2020. We've gotten so much bad news, right? But the only way that we can cope with it is by being hopeful. So what we know as of right now is that there are some intentions to close the restaurant for the time being. We don't know what the future is going to be of the club, if it's going to come back exactly the same, which is what we're all hoping for, or if it comes back a little different. What I do know is that we have a fantastic staff that's been working there. Someone did the math and said all of us have worked a combined 1,000 years at that restaurant. If you tally up all of the seniority and the time that people have been working there. So much experience, so many great memories. And like you said, Nick, we have to stay hopeful. We don't know. Nothing is completely final yet. So at this juncture, we're just going to say 2021 is right around the corner. Let's hope that all of this turns around, and let's hope that the 21 Club comes back to see 100 years, because we're only 10 years away. We got to make a century, right?
Yeah. And people of your passion and your talent, they don't grow on trees in the hospitality industry, and we need you. We need you to be doing what you're doing, and we'll give you all the support we can, and hopefully everyone who watches this program will, and hopefully the horse racing industry, if they're made aware of this place, which has got so many great associations with the sport, will get in behind it, because it's a piece of our history. So fingers crossed.
Yeah. And it's worth mentioning, breederscup.com/donate. That's something that we pushed in the very beginning of this to support not only those in the horse racing industry, but in the hospitality industry as well. So I know that times are very, very difficult right now, and money is tight because of, 2020 and the holidays. So no donation is too small. So just a friendly reminder, breederscup.com/donate. But Mark, you have been quite busy yourself on your own ventures. Tell us a little bit about what you've been working on recently.
Well, guys, I think you must have inspired me with these weekly shows, because I realize how much I use the term geeking out, but it's true. I love talking about cocktails. Maybe what I've learned the most is I love seeing people getting excited about these demos that we do, and then telling us, like your parents, Brittany, saying how much they love practicing that at home and how much they're enjoying the drinks. So I got the idea to kind of take this to the next level and offer some virtual mixology seminars. And I actually recently started a website. It launched about 2 weeks ago. So it's www.theemptyglassmixology.com. And there you can find all the information about my virtual seminars, consulting, even cocktail creation. If you've got an event coming up and you want a special cocktail, I'd be more than happy to do that. So I'm really excited about this website. Yeah.
My mind is blown. It took me 29 episodes to realize that the empty glass is the empty glass.
Yes, that's it. Yeah,
wow.
As with everything else, there's a cheesy pun in there. There has to be. So yeah, I'm so proud to really talk about some of the things I've got to do over the past 4 or 5 years, especially in cocktail competition. So many great experiences. But at the heart of it, what it really is I love sharing this passion that I have So I've had the opportunity to do several classes so far this fall, and I'm looking forward to doing a whole bunch more while I wait to see what's going on with 21 Club. So thank you guys so much for the support.
Was that a picture of a very young Mark Tubridy with no beard and looking very chiseled and handsome, or was it?
That was from last year, believe it or not. So that's I don't look chiseled, but I appreciate it.
It has been a tough 2020, hasn't it?
It has been. I'm not even going to lie. It's true. But yeah, no, that was from a cocktail competition that I did last year. A fantastic experience, which was Bombay Sapphire's most imaginative bartender competition. I got to go to the finals in Chicago. Came close, didn't quite pull it off, but it's okay. It was a fantastic experience. So.
That's a sharp looking website too. Well, hey, theemptyglass.com. What a great way, because who knows how long we're going to be under these restrictions in lockdown. And even when we're not, I think that's such a wonderful idea. When we can have friends over to have these virtual cocktail classes. I did a virtual wine tasting way back in, I think, early March. And it was just the best experience, you know? I think a way for people to learn something new, as well as spending time virtually with their friends. It's a wonderful idea. So we're in full support. Nick, when should we sign up for a class?
Well, anytime soon. I mean, we're in.
I think we should do a Breeders' Cup a rap show or class or seminar at the end of this season. I think that'd be a fantastic way to celebrate the holidays.
Done.
Awesome. I'm gonna get Nick to shake another egg white drink. That's my goal. And it's gonna actually make its way out of the sippy cup this time. It's gonna find its way into the glass.
Is the egg white drink, do you think, going to make it into our highlights reel, Mark?
I'm willing to bet quite a few of my I don't know, more controversial cocktails will make it into the highlight reel. I think so, yeah.
Mark, speaking of cocktails, I don't know if you were getting to this, Nick, but what are we making tonight?
I was.
We couldn't have planned this better. I mean, I know it's December, but like I said, it hasn't always been very snowy and cold here. But just last night, we got 8 inches of snow, nothing compared to the 33 inches in Saratoga. But we're making 2 hot drinks. We're going to be making a mulled wine with Tito's. That was actually your idea, Brittany. So hopefully it lives up to your expectations. And then we're going to have a very decadent treat, which is hot buttered bourbon. So if you've heard of hot buttered rum, we're going to talk a little bit about the history of that. But of course, cocktails and conversation, we have to give it a Kentucky twist. So I'm really excited for these cocktails tonight.
Mark, this is you somewhat bringing me the buttered beer that I wanted, right?
Yes.
It's like very close.
That's it. The only difference is that it would need to be cold, but you're going to get all of that kind of cool nuance. And I mean, definitely the calories that come along with it, but it's the holidays. Like Nick said, we got to go all in, I think.
Sweatshirts are for.
Exactly.
It sounds like it should be illegal, hot buttered bourbon, doesn't it?
I mean, that's it used to. I don't want to get a jump too much on the history later on, but the truth is it used to be very popular, and I think people realized how fattening it was because it's like 300 calories per serving. So once we start this demo, once you see this demo and I pull out the butter, I know you're going to have some comments. But it should be illegal, but it's not. So let's enjoy it.
Mark Tubridy stars in hot buttered bourbon.
Oh no!
It's just starting. It's all downhill from here.
Coming to you this 2021.
Yeah,
you thought you were safe. Okay.
We're getting going far too early. It's only 14 minutes past. But this is a flavor of what you might enjoy through the next hour, because this is the first of our series of highlights from Cocktails and Conversation through the last 28 episodes.
Hello, good evening, good afternoon, wherever you are in the world, and a warm welcome to the first in a brand new series here on Breeders' Cup. It's Cocktails and Conversation, a very sociable 6 o'clock Eastern. If you like to get on it early, it's 3 o'clock out west, and for all you night owls and insomniacs, it's 11 o'clock. Where I am. Nick Luck coming to you from London, and just the 5,437 miles away in Brentwood, Los Angeles, California, NBC and TVG's Britney Eurton. I think that'll get us through the next hour.
Nick, it's Chardonnay just for you.
Oh, yeah, and the same here. And Mark Tubridy is a mere 3,459 miles away in Bushwick, Brooklyn. We are observing social distancing like you wouldn't believe. And we realize that for all of you, wherever you are, wherever you're watching, it's an incredibly challenging time. But each week, Thursday night for this hour. We are going to park our troubles, invite you in to our conversation, talk horse racing, life in general, how you're coping with the situation, share your stories, share your secrets, share your troubles with us, and we will try and put you on the right track and leave you at the end of these 60 minutes with, if nothing else, a smile on your face.
There's no donation that is too small. And I know, Mike, you can attest to this, spending plenty of time around those men and women on the backstretch that take care of these horses day in and day out. It's a scary time for many people right now, but especially without our economic engine, which is racing. So anything that we can do to support those men and women is huge.
Well, I'll start out by my wife over there already saying here's 1,000 from her. So you got 1,000 coming from us.
That's amazing. Cynthia, thank you.
Let me take you inside here real quick. The Golden Whip that Arrogate was blessed to along with Arrogate. Then you got a lot of Breeders' Cups that go up here. My favorite picture of all time is actually this one right here, which is Zenyatta winning the Classic.
So what did Big Money Mike do? What did Big Money Mike, they call him? What did he do last week? 1,000 for what?
Yep. 1K he donated.
1,000 each. CB 1,000 each.
$3,000 from Chad Brown donated. That's amazing.
3,000. I'm like my horses, right? I'm all dressed up with nowhere to go. I'm 3 martinis deep in Boca at 7:15. Franco taught me that. When I worked for him, I learned everything about training horses. But I also learned that there was no limitations. I used to ask him, how did you get started? I walked in the gate over there, he said. Over there. I walked in, I was a hot walker. I didn't know anybody. I was a gambler. So when I heard that, and I had worked on the racetrack before, but when I heard that and I saw how well he was doing, it gave me the confidence to say, hey, then anyone can do it if he can do it.
Baby, come give me something, oh. Baby, come give me something, oh. 'Cause I can't stop loving.
I like it, but we got a crooked horizon line, and that's a big no-no.
Wow.
And the reason I feel okay doing all these things is because I know, at least for the near future, I don't have to face these people like in real life, right? It's not allowed, and so it's like I don't have to. It's like, hey, sorry, you lost the background battle. I don't have to see them.
There've been a lot of comments tonight about how distinguished your beard now looks, the lockdown beard. I mean, lockdown's not been good to many of us, to be honest. For those of us with suspect receding hairlines, it's been especially bad. But for those who've had the confidence to grow out like distinguished facial hair in a kind of professorial fashion, it sort of suits you incredibly well. Bailey, do you agree?
Brittany?
Santa Claus.
Well, thank you. You know, this started in Florida.
I think it works.
My face is awful fat without it. I realize with it, it doesn't look quite as fat. But everybody, all the Santa Claus jokes have been coming. So until I get tired of them, I'm going to keep it.
He's going to keep it until he wins the Derby, he said.
Yeah. But it might be West Virginia Derby, it might be Indiana Derby, but some Derby.
The jubilation and disbelief of winning the Kentucky Derby. And then realizing you've actually got to find your way to the winner's circle. I didn't know where to go. And it just so happened that one of the first people I ran into was Dale Romans, who we just beat, who's grown up in Louisville. All he wants to do is win the Derby. So, he's devastated that we beat him. So I'm like, Dale, I don't know how to get the winner's circle. He's like, follow me. And Dale's like a linebacker, so I literally grabbed onto the back of his jacket and he took me down to the winner's circle.
I was holding on to Dad. We were all shuffling through the crowd. I'll never forget that.
And then he came back and beat us in the Preakness.
This is the actual trophy for this year's Kentucky Derby, and it is engraved with the date May 2nd, 2020 on it. It will be part of the show that we're doing here from our NBC Sports Midwest Bureau, which is also known as the other side of the desk in my home office.
Jack's like, it's Travers weekend. Let's go up to Saratoga. And I'm like, yeah, that sounds awesome. And like, as we're flying up, we land. I'm like, where are we staying? He goes, we'll get a hotel. Okay. Mm-hmm. We literally have a fucking closet.
I think we can pass on the show, right?
It's amazing. It's amazing. It's taken us 14 weeks to get an effort.
we've had way too much fun, and that is just a brief snippet of these 29 episodes that we've been together. I'll be honest, watching it back, it made me tear up a little bit.
Until you got to Laurie Wolf dropping the F-bomb again.
What I love there is that she was probably hoping we could edit it out, and instead we put it on a highlight reel.
So good.
I love it. 2 more of those to come. I can't wait until we can reminisce a little bit more. But before we bring in our living legend of a guest, I think we need to cheers to my incredible coworker, friend, Nick Luck, 8-time broadcaster of the year. He's going to be all humble and modest in this, but I can't think of anybody more deserved. It is a true pleasure and honor to work with you. So cheers. 8 times.
Cheers, Nick. Congratulations, bud.
You guys have been so much fun to work with this year, and these shows have been, as you said earlier, in April and May and June, when there wasn't a whole lot else going on. They were a great source of comfort to us, and hopefully to some of you as well. But actually, from that, and thank you, Brittany, to a real, genuine all-star of this game. We've probably bandied the word legend about a bit too liberally on this show because we've had a few drinks and whatnot. But in this case, it's absolutely right on the money. And I think we might have saved the best until last. 9,530 career wins. Please, Mark Tubridy, don't ask me to enumerate all his great successes.
Be here for days.
Not today.
Will fall off. He is the one, the only, the great, some would say the greatest, Laffit Pincay Jr. Laffit.
Hi.
Greetings to you.
Happy holidays.
Happy holidays. And particular thanks, because I know that since you left the saddle, you have been working on perfecting your golf game. Mm-hmm. And if I know any ex-top jocks, I know that when they do that, they apply themselves to it with an intensity that you wouldn't believe. So I'm told it's coming along pretty well.
Yeah, well, yes, I try to get better all the time, and it give me, golf, I related a lot to riding horses, because if you are playing bad and all of a sudden you had a good shot, it picks you up again. It's like a new energy, and it gives you the incentive to do better. And the same thing with horses. You can be having a bad day and you feel a little down because you want to win. All of a sudden you win, and boy, hey, you are. I'm on now, and I feel the same thing when I'm playing golf, and it's so much fun.
It's something that you and another one of the greats have in common, Michael Jordan. He loved a good golf game as well. Did you play while you were riding to relax, or did you pick it up after you retired?
No, I picked it up after I retired. So many jockeys, friends of mine that they used to invite me. And I used to say, that's a silly game. That's I thought it was so easy, just silly game, just put it in the ball. Boy, but when I play it the first time, believe me, I realized that it takes a lot of practice, concentration, and it's like any other sport. You have to be prepared to play a good game.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It's tough where to begin with you, because as many are already commenting, many refer to you as the greatest of all time, the greatest to sit aboard a horse, and not just a jockey, but one of the greatest athletes of all time. For you, growing up in Panama, was it just a rite of passage for you to be riding? Was it something that you were always interested in and just felt natural to you?
No, not at all. In fact, I want to be a baseball player. That's what my dream, being a baseball player. And I was a good player. I represented Panama in Nicaragua, around 1960, and we were champion. And when we came back, the coach, he called me aside and he said, listen, I'm going to give you a good advice, okay? You are a good baseball player, but you're too small, you're too little. Why don't you be a jockey like your father? And my father was a jockey, but I didn't even know him. He was running in another country. He split up with my mother when I was very young. So believe me, I felt really bad when he told me that. But I kept playing, but kind of put a seed in my head, you know. And when I was about 15, I was still small, and I say maybe that guy was right. Maybe I should go to the track and be a jockey like my father. So and then I started talking to my mother, and then I had a tough time convincing her to let me go to the races, to the track and learn. And finally, she let me go, and I started going at the age of 15 years old, and I started to work with horses first, learning how to clean them and feeding them and all that. I had to learn all that until finally they started giving me horses to walk him, to get on them. And believe me, at the beginning, I was so scared, very scared. And that's, I used to say to myself, it's a fear that I had to overcome, because if I'm afraid of horses, I don't think I'm going to be able to ride them. But little by little, I got used to them, and I got to walk them, and then taking them to the track to gallop, and then breezing and all that, and then I learned, and finally I got my license when I was 17. Started riding and started winning right away. So I started doing good, and I wanted to do something to help my family too. We were very poor when I had my mother. She worked a lot, you know, just to keep us feeding us and all that, and I want to help her. And then pretty soon I started making good money, and I bought a house, I bought myself a car, and boy, I was like a king. Until I got a contract to come to this country, and I took advantage of that contract. I came to Miami and worked a couple of horses for Mr. Hooper, and I signed a contract for 3 years. Yes.
And I read that you won 8 of your first 10 rides. So you just took the role that you were on down in Panama to the States pretty quickly.
Well, yes, I started winning races right away. Yes, in Chicago, and I was riding there for about 2 years. 2 weeks, and I won about 8 or 9 races that in the period of 2 weeks, and I wasn't riding that many horses. So, well, when I was there, my papers got to Panama, because I was waiting for my papers in Panama. The reason I came over here was because I went to ride horse in Puerto Rico. And from Puerto Rico, I jumped over here. And Mr. Hooper realized that I was over here with a visa that I could ride. So he told me to go to Chicago and ride some horses for him. You know, so I went and I started winning all these races. And then he called my agent, because I couldn't speak nothing of English. And my agent told me, you got to go to Panama because your papers are over there. So I went to Panama and I started fixing my papers. And it took me about maybe a month and a half or so. Came back and I started winning. I come back again, start riding again and winning again and doing good again. Yeah.
It's amazing because, you know, even though you were from a riding background, you were a relatively late starter. But as soon as you became a jockey, things started to go incredibly well for you. Do you think it was because you had that sort of natural sportsman's competitive instinct, or was it just that you felt at one with a horse? Was it about you and the horse, or about you as a competitor, as a sportsman, do you think?
Well, I think I was very competitive, and I want to learn, you know, and I always want to learn watching. I like to watch all the jockeys. I like to see what they were doing that made them win. And then I try myself and all that. But a lot of this that a jockey has to be fit to ride those horses. He has to be in tremendous condition. And I did that from the beginning. I remember that the professor that I had over there, the teacher that was teaching them, because they have this, we had to go to school there and once a week. And I remember he said to me, he said, listen, I'm going to tell you something. You always, you try or be in good shape, because you never know when you're going to need all your strength and energy to win one race. And he was so right. sometimes you have to be energetic, you have to be strong to win races. I always say that a stronger jockey have the advantage. The fitters and the stronger you are out there, you have the advantage. Yes.
I'm so interested in that because do you think you were ahead of your time? Because it's only, to me, it struck me in the last decade that jockeys have really started to talk about being fit, about being, we talk about Mike Smith now, and he talks
about it a lot.
15, 20K runs. How do you go till you're 52, 53? But that's now. He wouldn't have been saying that in 1990. I mean, you were saying this in the 70s, way, way ahead of other people. Was it that fitness that gave you a big edge?
I think so. When I came to this country, I saw nobody exercise, nobody did any of that stuff. And I started doing it. I started jogging on the track. I started doing all the things that I didn't see these other jockeys do over here, And I started winning. And then, I guess from interviews that I did and the thing that I used to do, some of the jockeys started doing the same thing. And pretty soon, they all go to the gym. They all get trainers. They all try to be fit. You have to. Yes.
Well, because they were clearly trying to keep up with you. One of the fiercest competitors in the game, aside from you, you rode against for many, many years, Angel Cordero. We're going to have you take a little walk down memory lane here. We have a picture of the two of you, and I'm interested to know when this was, where it was, and just a little bit about you two riding against each other, because we did have Angel on the show not too long ago, and he expressed how, the challenge of riding against you because you were one of the best in the game. So when is this?
Oh, that was when I just came to this country, and I was a good friend of him. And the other guy is the other jockey is Eddie Belmonte, another great rider. And we used to have some fun, and we used to. I tell you, Angel was the toughest guy on the track to beat because he will try to do all kind of things to you, and he did it in such a way that he could get away with. So you have to watch out for him. But after the race were over, we were good friends, always. Yeah.
You have to set it aside. Once those gates open, you're competitors. Once you come back and get off the horse, you can be friends again.
Yeah, that's right. And what I admire about him is that he loves to win, and he'll do anything to win. And he has so much ability on a horse. I mean, he could do anything. This guy could do anything on a horse. It was just a fantastic jockey. Yes.
For you, do you find that, because many athletes will say that if they're working or playing with somebody or against somebody that's better than them, it brings their level up. So did you feel, and maybe Angel was the one, that there was a rider that you rode against that kind of elevated your level?
Oh, definitely. Yes. When you saw a rider like him, you try to learn what he's doing. You try to watch his move, and you try to learn from him, and he motivated me to try to beat him. Try to beat him in the lead, for being the leading rider or that. But not only him, there were a lot of riders that I compete against that I tell you I admire him a lot, because there was a jockey like Sandy Harley that came from Canada. He was unbelievable how he could make it. He didn't have to save ground to win races. He would be wide, and believe me, still will win that way. So it's tough to beat a guys like that. Another guy that, and I tell you, with Sandy, I learned a lot, because I had to compete with him. I said, if I keep riding the same way that I'm riding, I never beat this guy. I had to change. And I learned things from him. And pretty soon I beat him. I beat him in a really duel that we had at Hollywood Park, and it was so much fun, Well, at the time, it wasn't so much fun for me. It was fun, but at the same time, it was pressure because I want to beat him, And I had to beat him by 2 or 3 winners at the end. And another guy that had to change my way of riding was Patrick Valenzuela. That guy was unbelievable on the lead. If you let him go, you never catch him, So I started moving before I always like to move a little late. And with him, I have to go early. I have to go hand in hand with him. if you let him get away, believe me, you never beat him. So, riders like that, that they were all different style and they were all tough,
I'm interested. You mentioned Pival there, Laffit. One of the greatest but kind of most flawed talents that there's been really in the last 2 or 3 decades. But he sort of came along in the sort of mid to latter part of your career. But before that, you talked about Hawley and Cordero and obviously Shoemaker for all those years. With each little mini generation coming along of greats, did that spur you on? Because you were at the top for so long. Did you need that young blood to come through to keep you at the top, to show them that you could still have the edge?
Well, all through the years, since I was being the leading rider in California, and this was such a great place to ride. Well, every star around the country wanted to come to California, and of course they wanted to beat me, And when they came in, and I knew that I had to, he's a fresh blood. He's hungry. And those hungry guys are the toughest one. Those hungry guys, believe me, they are young and they eager, and they have that will to want to be on top. And I didn't want to give up my where I was, the honor of being on top, And I believe me, I knew that I had to fight him, and it seemed like every year somebody new would come, and that kept me going. It kept me going for a long time. I love the competition.
And you really helped pave the way for a lot of young riders that have come into this country, especially through your jockey school. But I thought this was a great question, and we actually have a video pertaining to it. So Talis Finney asks, he has a question for Laffit about his 3 Belmont wins. Who was the best one? They were all great. Conquistador Cielo, Caveat, and Swale, all trained by the late, great Woody Stevens. So before we get to the video, for you, who was the best of those 3 Belmont victories?
Yeah. Well, the toughest was Caveat because I came through a very tiny little hole there that, believe me, I don't even know how I made it, but he got through there, and that was the tough one, believe me. But the Conquistador Cielo was a very easy one, and Swell was very easy one, But the tough one, if I had to put a ride that I say was my best ride, was Caveat. Yes.
Which we're taking a look at right now.
Yeah.
And there's some serious jockeyship here with you and Cordero.
So what's the conversation like after? Because you said a very tiny hole for Caveat to make his way through, and he did. That is just a really tough horse to be able to go through that hole. But what sort of conversation happens after you win this race and Cordero ends up not quite sure where?
Well, we didn't say anything. There was an inquiry. There was a claim of foul, I think. No, I don't know if it was a claim of foul, but I think it was an inquiry. And actually, we didn't say much. We didn't say much. I think I say thank you to Chris' brother. I forgot his first name. I say thank you to him because actually he helped me with the tour. He told me that Cordero pushed him just enough to close the hole, and I was there, and he helped me to overcome the inquiry. So I told him thank you, and yes. But with Angel, I didn't say much to him. I didn't say I don't remember talking to him after the race.
I'm sure.
Yeah.
There's a nice question here from Jeff Hall. So intrigued to hear Laffit's opinion and feelings for and about Sham, who carved out his own little piece of history as the best supporting actor, if you like, in 1973 in Secretariat here. How was it being part of that pretty extraordinary story?
Well, it was great. I don't think by that time I had won the Kentucky Derby, and I remember the night before, Frank Martin told me that this horse is going to do something tomorrow that no other horse I ever done in the Derby, and he was right. He finished second, but he broke the track record, and he ran a good race. He tried every step of the way. He just got outrun, And but it's believe me, some of the horses that I even affirm that I said that people ask me that question all the time. If Affirm would have run in that race, he would have finished third. I don't think he would have been Champ. There's no way he would have been Champ the way Champ ran that day. And then I went to the Preakness, and even though you saw the race, it was Secretariat took off in the first turn and it got to the lead really early. I thought for sure he would get tired. And when I came down to the stretch, I thought for sure I had it. And no way. He just kept on going. You know, he's the best horse that that I ever saw. Yes.
Hands down, best horse you've ever ridden? Are you saying was a watching Secretariat?
I would say the best horse I ever ridden was Affirm, because Affirm was consistent. Affirm carried a lot of weight, and he run in New York against the best. He run in California against the best, and he always got somebody chasing him, and you know, and he was consistent. So I would put him as the best horse I ever rode. But I still say that if he run in that race, he'd finish there.
That's tough considering all of his accolades. You know, we talk a lot about the horse's ability, but also the horse's heart. Affirmed seemed like he was a horse that just had a ton of heart. He wanted to win. It looked like he loved his job. Do you think so?
Yes, a very smart horse. If you watch his races, every race he ran, he broke on top. And then from then, you could do anything you want with him. You go to the lead or you take him back. And it was easy to go to the lead and easy to take back, because he had his speed, but you could ride him. You could take him back, you know. And I remember one race where it was so much speed. I think it was the California, just before the Gold Cup. And I was thinking, well, I'm going to break and I'm going to take him back, you know, and relay maybe 3 or 4 behind the speed, because it was a lot of speed. Horse came from New York and all that. And I was surprised when I got to the paddock and Lázaro Barrera, he said to me, "You send this horse to the lead." I was shocked, you know, and I did. I went to the lead, and believe me, they had all these horses chasing me one after the other, and he still ended up winning by I think 3 or 4 lengths, you know. So yeah.
This is the famous Jockey Club Gold Cup of 1979. Yeah. Tell me how you felt going into this race.
Well, going to this race, I thought it was going to be a very tough race, because I knew what kind of a horse Spectacular Beat was. But I tried to, you know, I wasn't riding in New York, so when I got there, I talked to Angel, I talked to George Velasquez, and they told me, "Listen, whatever you do, stay wide. The horses are running better in the outside." And I said, "Fine." So I knew I had Shoemaker outside of me, and he wanted to go. He wanted to pass me, and I said, "No, you going. I'm on wide, but you're gonna go wider." And he tried to go a couple of times, 3 times try to go head and head with me, and I didn't let him. You know, every time he came close, I kept trying to be in front of him. And finally, since a Spectacular Beat had a little habit of logging in, he couldn't go around me. So finally he said, "I got it." He got back and went in, and he went to the heavier part of the track. So I stayed out, and I think that made me win the race. Yes.
Wow. I'd be remiss not to mention one of my favorite horses of all time, and Jeff Hall brought him up. He said, "My favorite Laffit horse, John Henry, just such a hard worker with heart." And he's obviously honored with a bronze statue, as are you, at Santa Anita, just near the fountain. He, to me, was just, maybe it was because of how long he was around, but when you ask anybody who their favorite horse of all time is, yes, you'll get plenty of Secretariats, but John Henry really has a special place in people's hearts. What did he mean to you to be a part of that ride?
Oh, it means a lot, you know, history, and he was such a nice horse to ride. He he just went about his business. You know, whatever you want to do with him, he'll go. You want to go to the lead, take him back. You could take him way back, and he will stay way back. That's what kind of a horse he was, and he nice horse to ride. I really enjoy riding him. Yeah, and maybe he had a story too because they bought him very cheap from what I hear. And he started from the low and went up to win all kind of races, so all kind of big races. So,
Laffit, the passion in which you talk about racing and your riding career is really contagious. Do you still have that same passion now as you watch the racing as you did back then?
Well, I used to watch races, and I wish I would be there. I wish I could be in the competition. I wish I would be trying to win a Kentucky Derby or a Breeders' Cup, one of those races. But I don't anymore. I just enjoy and watch the riders and see what rider look good in a horse, what rider are the best, and things like that, you know, and just enjoy watching them. Yes. But I have my passion for the golf right now.
And you're quite good at it. We had a question come in, and I'm not going to say who it's from because it's a secret question. But are you willing to share with us how you eventually lost the mount on John Henry?
Oh yes, I remember that perfectly. Apparently, I was walking to the jockey's room, and you know how sometimes you probably looking at something and you don't know. You know, I used to, after races, especially even if you win or more when you get big, and you get big a close one, or you are looking, and somebody might think that you make eye contact and you don't see that person. Apparently, that's what happened. I was coming to the jockey's room, and the owner of John Henry was looking at me. Or this is what he said, because I don't remember that. I don't remember seeing him. He said that I look at him and I didn't say hello to him, and then he took me off. That's how I lost him out.
So then did you just say hello to everybody you met from there on after?
Well, I didn't think that way, because I always, after the races, you know, sometimes we upset for what we did, or if we think we rode a bad race, or if we think somebody cost you the race or something, and you are in deep thinking, you're trying to analyze the race and see what you did wrong. And I did that all the time. And some people used to think that I was in a bad mood, but it wasn't just in a bad. Well, sometimes I was, but most of the time I was just thinking about what did I do wrong, you know. And well, but apparently that day, that's what happened. That I probably looked at him, I didn't say hello, and he got upset. Yes.
And there goes the mount.
Yeah, that's right. They took me off John Henry.
Well, Laffit, if you don't mind staying with us for just a little bit longer, we're going to sneak in our first drink of the evening with mixologist Mark Tubridy. Laffit, are you a wino?
Very little. I like vodka. When I drink, I like vodka.
Well, there's vodka in this drink.
Yeah, there's vodka and wine, believe it or not. I know that seems crazy, but so guys, you know that so many cocktails I've spoken about, you know, throughout the course of this show have these very long histories to them. But mulled wine has to take the cake because it dates back to the 2nd century. So ancient Romans got into the habit or the practice of heating up wine to keep them warm in the colder months. So as they spread their influence throughout Europe, their fascination with these warm wine beverages sort of spread with them. And by the time we got to the Middle Ages, people started putting spices into the mixture, not just to ward off the cold, but also to ward off sickness. So they thought that those spices were really going to protect them from getting ill. So eventually, and not the booze, right? The booze does a good job too, I think. But anyway, so the drink made its way up to Scandinavia and eventually Sweden, where it kind of fell under the umbrella of warm wine beverages called glögg. I actually had to look up the pronunciation on that. I hope I did a good job. But in glögg, they started adding some citrus fruits as well as fortified spirits. And that really turned the beverage into the mulled wine that we know about today. But how did it become associated with the holidays? Because when we think about Christmas and this whole season, we think of mulled wine and, of course, eggnog and those other beverages. So a version of mulled wine, actually called the Smoking Bishop, was featured in the Charles Dickens classic, A Christmas Carol. So from that point on, it became a traditional Christmas drink. So it kind of occurred to me, how am I going to do a demo on mulled wine, which takes at least 15 minutes to kind of simmer on the stove? So I tried to get a little creative here for you guys. Did a little video. Actually, my older son was the cameraman. So that's probably the best part about this, is a nice steady hand on here. So here is the process of making a traditional mulled wine. Let's see how this goes. All right.
Never cease to amaze, Mark.
I try grow a little bit each week. So here we have our basic ingredients. You can see wine, some port wine, honey. We're adding vodka, some spices, star anise, cloves. I've got Mexican cinnamon there, as well as some orange slices. So the one tip I'll give you guys here is you want to toast your spices before you put it into the mixture. You're not going to see that in a lot of recipes, but when you toast your spices ahead of time, it brings out all the aromas and all the flavors. So that's a great little tip for you. So we're basically toasting those over maybe a medium flame. You don't want to burn it. Set that aside, and you're going to do a full 750 milliliter bottle of red wine. What you're looking for here is a dry red wine, because you're going to add sweetness afterwards. And keep in mind that this can actually be a not so decent wine, because we're going to add flavors to it. And that's part of the tradition, is that it doesn't need to be top shelf wine. Save that for your dinners. We're going to add all of our flavors to that. So that was actually an Israeli red, which is not bad, but it's not the best that I've tried.
Look at this.
This is me being
is produced. I mean, it's remarkable. I mean, Mark has brought a level of professionalism to this.
Thank you so much. Thank you, Nick.
It's formerly rather kind of mundane production that I never thought possible.
Speak for yourself.
So there was a very important bit there, which is that you don't want your mixture to get above 171 degrees. That's very important, because that is the boiling point of alcohol. We don't want to burn that off. So keep it around 140, 150, hot enough to extract the flavors, not hot enough to burn off the alcohol. We've added some orange slices, our toasted spices. Port wine is going in right now. We had the honey, as well as some vodka. So that's 2 ounces each of port wine, honey, and vodka. We've got it to a nice simmer. You got to check this out. This is about 10 minutes. We're just letting it simmer, looking at our Instagram, maybe some Breeders' Cup going in there, whatever you want to do to pass the time. And you want to strain all those particulates out, all those solids out. All that wine has been infused. No matter what red you started with, you're going to have a delicious mixture now. We're going to go ahead and pour that in a nice heat-proof mug. Make sure you do that. You don't want the glass breaking. And then just garnish it with a nice orange slice. You could do a cinnamon stick as well. And that is our Tito's mulled wine. So nice finishing shot right there. So I hope you guys give this a try. It's a fantastic cocktail. So here's the finished product, a little studio magic there. But cheers, guys.
Cheers. I love it. Has Santa arrived to one of your houses, or?
It sounds like Santa has stopped by, and Santa in the form of Amazon, I'm sure.
Cheers.
So my wife is making her way downstairs. Cheers, guys.
Wow.
I just had a quick question, Mark, because I am going to make that tonight. Can I put it in a slow cooker so I don't have to watch it? Is there any way of putting that on low? What would you recommend?
That's a good idea. It doesn't take that long. Honestly, I simmered this for about 15, 20 minutes, and the flavors are fantastic. I don't even know if you would want to let it steep for too long. And the reason why I say that is if you've got the oranges in there, you definitely want to get the orange oils and the juice, but you also have that white pith. So after a while, that might start to get a little bitter. I've never tried it out like that. So I would say, ideally, just go ahead and put it on the stove, watch it for about 10 or 15 minutes and take it off. If you want to give it a little extra time, or if you know you're going to be busy and kind of doing other things, try it out in the slow cooker. As long as you have it on low, not too hot, because you don't want any of that good alcohol to wear off. But that's a great question.
I'm excited. I don't have whole cloves. Couldn't find them anywhere.
Okay. That's okay.
I've got the rest. I got the star anise and the oranges and the cinnamon. Awesome. So I'm excited. I'll send a photo of you when it's all done.
Please do. Cheers, guys.
Hey, Britt, what are you guys allowed to do on over over the holiday season in California? What's the deal now? Are you allowed to meet up with family, or
they are, encouraging you to not travel, to not spend time with anyone in a household outside of yours? But naturally, I live alone, so that seems kind of lonely. So I'm going to do my best to quarantine and test multiple times before going home, because I do want to see my family, but just be very, very careful. But aside from that, no, I'm going to make that mulled wine and lasagna for myself.
And Laffit, how are you enjoying your time at the moment? Is everything? I mean, obviously it's difficult for everybody, but are you managing to tick away the days until everyone can have a bit more freedom?
Well, you're talking about now. What am I doing now? Right at the moment. Yes, and I try not to go out too much, only to necessary things, like going to the store or playing golf, something like that, and sometimes me and my girlfriend, we go out for dinner when we could. And now we try to just go and pick up food and bring it home and things like that. But I always do something to have some fun. I love watching movies. I love to watch golf games and the baseball series when they were on and things like that, But I always trying to keep busy and have fun. Yes.
Well, speaking of baseball, are you as big of a Dodgers fan as your son, Laffit? Because I don't think he could be happier that they won the World Series this year.
Well, I tell you, I am very, very into the World Series and things like that, and I'm very a Dodger fan. Very, very, yes.
There's no way he could ever have been that cute, is there? Surely.
Yes.
Surely not.
That's my son. Yes.
Oh, and positively angelic.
Yeah, he was happier than that normally when we work with him.
Well, I'm not sure.
No, then again, when he's a reporter, he's not happy like in that photo.
Now
this looks like a good night to me.
Yes. Yeah, sometimes we get together. We probably go out maybe once every week or once every 2 weeks, and we like to go to Nikisi and the what's the name of the Smitty's and places like that, have dinner and have a good talk, So yeah.
Could you have ever thought that he would have gone into horse racing when he was younger? Did you think that he was going to have a passion for it like he does now?
Not at all. Not at all. In fact, I told him when he was very little, I said, listen, you can pick any sport you want. Or you're not going to be a jockey and you are not going to be a football player. So don't even ask.
Don't even ask, Laffit. Well, big welcome to Laffit Pincay III. How about walking down memory lane with your dad?
Oh my God! So I feel bad, like crashing the conversation, just as a viewer. It's been so much fun watching you guys, Dad. Yeah, I destroyed your stud value right off the bat, like your first colt. Just embarrassing, just absolutely embarrassing.
Yeah.
I mean, I've heard him do an impression of you because it's quite good.
Me do impression of him?
Mm-hmm.
My impression of him, look, he says that you sound just like Tony Montana. Yeah, you sound like Tony Montana. How many times I gotta tell you not to park your fucking car? You think this is? I'm not gonna stop paying these parking tickets every time you get one. You're like, those are my teenage. You hear it enough, you get pretty good at it. Yeah.
So good.
Let me tell you, that photo that you just show there, in Denmark in those times, they used to have the baby derby. They had the little kids race. And I took Laffit, and I was even training him on the beach and everything for the race. And when I put him down and his mother was on the other side calling him, and when they did the start, he just stopped and he started crying. He didn't break. I left in the gate. So that's when I pick him up, and somebody took that picture.
I blame the coaching. I blame the training and the lack of motivation.
Yeah.
I think you ended up just fine in your role. We're all lucky we get to work with you.
It's sickening to actually admit it, but this is true. The thing I find quite fascinating though is a lot of sons and daughters of famous sports people or really successful sports people. Yeah, they take an interest, but they, it informs their childhood to such an extent that they kind of, they kind of back off it a little bit. For you, Laffit, you are not just a follower and a fan of what your father did. You are a complete devotee of it. There is nothing you don't know. Your knowledge is completely encyclopedic about that entire era. I mean, were you just completely inspired by him throughout from as early as you can remember?
It not necessarily. He's right. Like at first, I loved sports. I was far better a ball player than he was, no matter what stories he's telling you about winning, World Series in Central and South America as a child. I was a pretty good athlete. And then when I wanted to get involved with television, it was mainstream sports I wanted to cover. I didn't have a great interest in racing. I didn't know that much about racing, but I think part of it was also just taking an interest in what your father does, for a living, and that bond you have with Dad for Britney, your father being a trainer, and whether regardless of what his occupation was, I think for me, taking a greater interest was just getting to know him a little bit better. I knew he was really good at what he did. I knew it was really dangerous, but the racetrack wasn't the place that it is now. It wasn't as family friendly as it was now. You didn't bring kids to the racetrack as much. So I didn't grow up at the racetrack. But as I started to go a little bit more, I started recognizing that genuinely, I cared about how Dad did in races. And there was this sort of adrenaline watching him do what he did. And he was, even now when I watch old races, I got to watch that 83 replay of Caveat winning the Belmont, that still gets my blood pumping. That still gets me excited. I'm super, super proud. And as I got a little bit older and I started asking him questions, and I think that's part of the reason I enjoyed so much the conversation earlier. Those stories he was sharing with you guys were the stories he shared with me when I started to take a genuine interest in his business. And before you knew it, I didn't want to know just about what he did and his career, but as more about the sport in general. And I think that's where kind of my relationship and my love for the sport began, but much later, a little bit later in life than you might have guessed.
I love hearing that. I mean, that must be those conversations, Laffit, not our Laffit Jr., must continue today. I mean, how special is that to you to be able to share this incredible sport? And now he has such a strong passion for it as well. And as many have already said, the best broadcaster in all of sports.
Well, it made me very proud, especially when I travel and not this year because I haven't traveled this year, but all the time when I go to other racetrack for some kind of event and things like that, people come up to me and the first thing they say, "Oh, your son is doing so well. He's so great," and this and that. It makes me proud, And I always come back. I say, well, he's not only a good sportcaster, but he's a good son. He's a good son. He's a good boy. Yeah, very proud of him.
Thanks, Dad.
Yeah.
Now I'm gonna get emotional. I'm gonna pivot so I don't start to tear up. Unless
let's pivot because I can praise him so much, but only now I'm starting to feel uncomfortable with the whole thing. Laffit, I'm real Laffit, not the Laffit in the bottom left-hand corner. Real Laffit. We need to clear something up.
The Laffit, the GOAT Laffit, because I was going to ask for some clarification at the top of the show. I didn't know who you were talking about.
Some people would say you're both the GOAT Laffit. Obviously, that's enough now. Enough flattery.
We can go LP3 and the GOAT.
So there's a little bit of conflicting information online about this. So Dwayne Lucas, who is about the last, he's the last man we haven't had on the show.
We tried.
We tried, but technology got the better of us. He likes to tell this story about the time he and you were flying to New York for a big stakes race, and on the flight home, he enjoyed his big steak dinner, and you were sitting near him and ate a peanut, like literally a peanut, not even a bag of peanuts, but just one solitary peanut. Now, you smiled and said, yes, it was true to a certain degree. So what Wayne doesn't say, you said what Wayne doesn't say is that after, go on, I'll let you take it away.
Just go with it, Dad. At this point, just go with it.
I ate a half. He said something about I ate a half or I ate one peanut, and I said, well, no. What really happened? I just ate I swallowed one half, and the other one I chewed and spit it out.
Why did this story get so much traction? I feel like I've heard it.
I don't remember. I don't remember that, but I really don't remember. For some reason he said it, but I don't remember.
So let's share this story. This has to do with another airplane. This has to do with an airport, and my father with his diet, and because he was deprived of food and calories and what we all take for granted and what we're accustomed to on a day-to-day basis. Dad, share with him, if you don't mind, the story when you were traveling with, I think, Daryl Vienna.
Yeah.
And the engine blew.
Yeah, we were going to Baltimore to ride a horse for him, and I can't remember the owners. Well, we were traveling with the owners and Daryl and myself, somebody else, I can't remember who, and we were going to Baltimore. And when I was sitting where you can see the passenger in front of you, and Daryl Vienna was sitting in front of me, and somebody else, I can't remember this other person, and I could see, actually there was the windows. I could see the windows, and I could see the part of the motor of the plane, the jets. I could see the jets, and we were flying for about 20-25 minutes, and all of a sudden I see a flash of light and a bang, like something exploded. The plane moved, and everybody got very quiet. And I remember that I was reading a paper, and I just looked, and I didn't want to move, and then I looked at Daryl, and he was crying his heart, and I thought he had a heart attack, and I said, wow, he's gonna have a heart attack. And then I hear the guy said, the pilot said, we just blew an engine. He says, we gotta go back. And then somebody said, yeah, but we can go in one engine. We can keep going in one engine. And I say, oh man, no way. I don't want to go. And then we turn around, and I'm telling you that flight back was the longest flight I ever had. I was so scared that we were gonna crash. And yes, we landed, and all they were thinking in the way back was getting another plane. I didn't want to go back there. I want to go home. I didn't want to get in another plane, but then since they got another plane that it was going to fly from I don't know where, and then I remember that I walk up to a candy machine, and I got this chocolate, and they said, "What are you doing?" I said, "Listen, I don't know if I'm going to crash. At least I want to eat a chocolate before I crash." So I got me a piece of chocolate, a bar of chocolate.
How good did that chocolate taste?
That was very scary. Very scary.
Yeah. Well, cheers to everybody that's getting on a flight to go see their loved ones for the holidays.
Not a phone call home, not to the payphone, straight to the vending machine.
Yeah.
Straight to the chocolate. I love it.
Yeah. Good thing my horse carried a lot of weight the next day. Yeah.
We've already gone an hour 10 into our show, and our producers are probably yelling at us for not staying on time, but You had such an influence, Laffit, on California racing, and especially at Hollywood Park, so much so that they held a tribute day. And, you know, before we wrap, I'd love to just take a look back on that, because I think there were some really special moments, lots of family involved, and a lot of reflection, I'm sure, for you. So let's take a look at the Laffit tribute day. Wait for it.
And it really brought out the best in the industry to see him. The pictures kind of take you back from the beginning until now. 56 years old, very impressive group of his peers were on hand. Angel Cordero, Pat Day, Chris McCarron, and of course Bill Shoemaker, who called Laffit Pincay the greatest rider that's ever lived. Didn't give him a rocking chair, but the Dodgers gave him a jersey, and of course that number signifying the number of wins he's had in his career, the most in history, and he's as big as Shaq when it comes to legend. The commissioner of the NTRA, Tim Smith, presented him with the bronze with the number 7 on the silks. He's had 7 Breeders' Cup wins. Tom Meeker, the president of Churchill Downs Incorporated, the parent company here, presenting him with a framed letter from President Bush acknowledging the accomplishments of Pincay. They're naming a street after him here in Inglewood, California. He's huge. When you're an athlete and you're known simply as Laffit, that says it all. Here's his reaction after the ceremony.
But I'm very proud of some of the races that I have won around the country. I'm very proud of my family. I'm very proud to be a Panamanian, and I'm very proud to be living in this great country. Thank you.
Very emotional ceremony. Alex, please.
Oh, what an unbelievably special moment that must have been. And I was just listening there and watching on, and Bill Shoemaker saying you were the greatest jockey that ever lived. How did it feel for you, Laffit, in '99 when you passed his record? Just tell me all the feelings that were going through your head when you crossed the wire and passed him.
Well, I was very proud because I thought that nobody could have ever done that. And I remember when I just started writing, and I was in Panama in the movie theater, and they showed the London last ride, and he won by a nose, and on a horse called George Royal, I think. And I remember watching the Metro News. It was called Metro News. And when he won that race, it was like a 6,000, so many winners. And I remember saying, nobody ever is going to bring that record. And then coming to United States and being friends with Shoemaker, and little by little he got close. And sure enough, he broke his record, and he kept on going. And then after he did that and he retired, I never thought nobody would break his record. But I kept writing. I kept saying, well, I might write 2 more years. I might write 3 more years. And yeah, I just kept going because I just couldn't retire. I love it so much. You know, I love the winners. I love the attention. I love everything, you know, about winning races. And finally, I saw that I was getting close. When I got about around 1,000 winner, I said, you know what? If I keep writing, I might do it. And sure enough, you know, I got getting close, and wow, when I was like a 200 winner, I said, wow, I think I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna do it. And sure enough, I did it, and it was so nice. It was so nice what they did for me that day, and all the things they gave me and they said, you know, it was very, very emotional and proud day for me. Yes.
9,530. I mean, you broke records left and right, rode for decades, and truly, you had such an influence on the sport for young riders coming in from other countries. for you, looking back on your career, like we just did, and the incredible horses that you rode, is there a moment you're most proud of? Is it that number? Is it the relationships you made? Is it the road that you paved for these young riders now coming to the States?
Well, I like to help. Once in a while, a kid called me or an agent called me and said, "Can you help my rider? You know, he's got a problem with his weight, or you can help him what you can, you know." And I say, "Yeah, just give him my phone number, and I got to talk to the jockeys, and sometimes they come to my house, sometimes I talk to them in the phone, and I try to advise him, and I give him all these secret. I mean, it's no secret. I mean, all the things that I used to do to try to get in shape and try to win races, things that I used to do in riding, and I try to help him. You know, I like to see them do good, and when I see them win races, I just get proud. You know, I get proud of them that they try, because that was me when I was a young apprentice rider. I used to ask questions. I asked questions sometimes to the older jockeys what to do. You know, I remember I asked a jockey in Panama. I said to him, he was a retired jockey, and I said, "Can you teach me how to switch my whip, because I can't switch my whip?" And he taught me how to switch my whip and things like that, you know. And that's why I'm always there for them, and anytime.
The sport has been so lucky to have you, Laffit. I can't even express that. And it's just coming from a personal standpoint. You had a massive influence on my father, my grandfather, riding for them. So thank you for everything that you've done for this industry, honestly.
Well, thank to them for riding me. Believe me, I always appreciate when trainers want to ride me, you know, because from time to time it went tough. It went tough where I couldn't get much horses to ride, but some guy stuck with me, and they always had a horse for me, and I always appreciate that. And you know, I always kind of like when you are not doing like you used to, you appreciate what the people that help you, that people go out of the way to help you and give you a horse to ride, and look at what happened. Pretty soon I hit the top again and went to the top again, and I was having fun, you know, a lot of fun, just trying to compete with the youngest rider, and too bad that I had to retire when I retired, because I was doing good. I didn't want to retire while I was doing good. I want to wait until slow down, and then I said, well, and then it's time to quit. But I was doing good, and I was having fun. Yeah,
he would have ridden to 60. Like I have no. Like he was going that good. He had figured out his diet. He was feeling that good, like that.
Yeah.
He would have. That's what he's so frustrating at the time. Was like, wow, I finally figured out. Like he had his weight under control, which plagued him for so many years. He finally figured it out, and I think that's why, you know, you would think that at that age in your 50s, for, you know, as an athlete, most baseball players or football, basketball, mainstream sports are washed up in their mid-30s. You can go a little bit longer as a rider. Feeling that good, doing that well. I remember that the frustration, not necessarily that he broke his neck or the, you know, dangers moving forward, or, you know, how fortunate he was that he didn't, you know, with that kind of injury, very often someone will wind up in a wheelchair. He was frustrated because of how well his career was going at the time. He would have gone longer.
You know, that's one of the things that I am more proud about myself, that I made a comeback when I was going to be 50 years old. You know, how many athletes can make a comeback when they're that old? You can come back when you're 30s or maybe 40s, but you're 50 years old. And I did that, and I'm so proud of that, because it was just a willpower to do something well done, and I am proud of that.
Well, we have been incredibly honored, Laffit, to have you with us for this last hour and a half. And I can think of no better or more fitting way to conclude this year than with a true titan of the sport. It's not just about 9,530 winners, even though that number is gargantuan and scarcely possible and record-breaking. It's about spanning generations and being an inspiration to all the people that you rode with and rode against, and all the racing fans, most importantly, that formed a great love of this game because of what you did in the saddle. So thank you so much for everything. Thank you so much for being with us. And by the way, not a bad sire either.
All right. Thank you very much for having me. Thank you.
Thank you so much, both of you, for joining us. Happy holidays.
Great job this season. Great job with all of this year. Great job. Happy holidays to both of you.
Great man.
Wow. Incredible.
MT?
I mean, we could have gone on for hours.
Yeah, this could have been our first 3-hour show. We would have set our own record here.
This is true. I think it's drink time, though.
Let's do it. Nick brought this up at the beginning of the show. We're heading into that week that we all probably eat and drink a little bit more than we usually do, or maybe we should. And that leads right into our hot buttered bourbon. Nick, what were you going to say?
Hang on, Mark, because before we drink the hot button,
I may have jumped the gun.
I can't say it. I can't actually say it. Before we drink your hot buttered bourbon, we're gonna have a look back at some more highlights of the last 28
awesome. Let's do it.
Last 28 editions of Cocktails and Conversation.
Hello, and welcome to week 9.
I forgot that one. In World War II. I'm Nick Luck, coming to you not from TW11 Southwest London this week, but from my Louis XIV style boudoir.
I'll read what's behind me.
Okay.
I have no idea.
We all know that you have tons of accolades, Pete. Even if we can't hear them all, we know it.
Did you not hear what I said?
We got a little bit.
A charity at the moment called Do It for Dan, who is he's a child in Ireland who's got a rare spinal muscular atrophy disease. And to raise awareness of this thing, people are
All right, Brittany, you and Jamie talk. I'm going to go and get my egg.
Okay.
You're going to do it right now?
Here's everyone.
Down we go.
He doesn't look confused at all.
Such a pro.
No reaction.
Drink the I think do you know what?
Wasn't that bad. Do it for Dan.
Wow. You can make a horse do what you want in 5 minutes or 10 minutes that you get on it. Never say, oh, you're going to get that in 10 minutes. You want him to do what you want. But it's the same with a person. You meet somebody and you just can make that person do what you want in 10 minutes. So you get to know their characteristic and then you bargain with them and then you try to please them. They're not there to please us. We're there to please them. So I compare horses with ladies. You have to please them. You got to make them happy. Yeah, that's what you got to do with the horse. Make them happy.
Angel knows.
You know, horse racing is about fans. I mean, I love going up and competing against other trainers, and my horses competing against other horses, and we keep score. You know, who wins this, who wins that, and I love the fans are a big part of that.
Provided by Big Ass Fans, one of the Breeders' Cup sponsors. Say hello to Fanny, Mark.
Hi, Fanny. For the classic, I guess I'm going to go authentic.
Kentucky Derby winner.
Now I can say, you know, whenever I retire, it's like, well, that one was one that I was missing in my career and my list, and I can say that, you know, I can go home now and retire and say, oh, okay, I got that one.
Quick to Steph, I'm going to go a dead heat between Monomoy Girl and Swiss Sky.
Oh, that is the biggest cop-out ever, by the way. Brad Cox and Kenny McPeak are both on the show.
Let's say we won the Alabama, we won the Oaks. I mean, look, I'm a dreamer, you know. That's why you get in horse racing, right? Yeah. If she won the Alabama and she won the Oaks, why not run her in the Preakness?
Yeah. So cheers to you, Brad. Cheers to Monomoy Girl.
Nah.
She's a legend.
Cheers.
Thank you.
Okay.
Oh,
How's it taste?
thank you, Mark.
Absolutely. Cheers, guys.
Cheers to Monomoy Girl. Wow. That man's dedication is quite something. If I could make drinks like he can talk about horse racing, the world would be a better place, I'd say.
You mean if you could cover horse racing like he makes drinks?
No, if I could make drinks like he covers horse racing. I'm an avid reader of Nick Luck
Oh, no, really?
magazine. And we put it up on the screen, but look, I've actually got it here. I actually printed out the whole thing.
Last time we started a little early, and you got me drunk, Brittany. So
He said that to me, and I said,
Yeah.
"You're welcome."
Obviously, it was all our fault. You know.
that's it.
At the beginning of the year, compared to now, did the horse, the 2-year-old that you thought was going to be the best at the time or excel or the most precocious, has that changed or has it stayed the same?
Stayed the same. Just Golden.
And who?
Coming to the wire, it is Golden Pal winning the Juvenile Turf Sprint.
Golden Pal.
Yeah.
He was my favorite from January.
My wife was off to the side, and as soon as I finished the espresso martini, she swooped in, and that it didn't stay in my hand for more than she's smiling over there. Yeah, so that's another reason why I'm drinking my old fashioned over here.
Are we ever going to get to see her?
I know. Can we join? Can she join?
Maybe one of these weeks. We have to give her plenty of notice.
Now to on the computer, watching, replays, pulling charts, watching, the news, like the Blood Horse or the Racing Form or the TDN. Then I switch to the French racing and I start looking in Australia, Hong Kong, and it goes on. And I just never get enough.
How many amendments does the Constitution have?
My wife keeps me in line. She is a federal prosecutor, and she's very much I don't mess with her. But I also have a wonderful son who's 5 years old. His name's Hootie, and he loves racing, loves the nays, as he calls them. And so we love to go out to the track and just go casual, kind of hang out and enjoy life.
So coming back 2 weeks later, and this happens. How would you describe this moment?
I can never put it into words. Every time I watch it, I get choked up. I have chills right now.
I would not be going into the Hall of Fame without Norman's help. Norman's help, my wife, Tina's help. She's been, and of course, there's so many people, my dad.
I feel like I'm just much a part of that as him and anybody else that's part of that team, because we both know, or we all sitting here know, that that's a team effort. Dad was obviously the captain and he ran the ship for a very, very long time, but it took a lot of people behind the scenes to get him there, and I was a small part of it, but I'm proud of the fact, and I'll be there when he's inducted into the Hall of Fame, and I'm very proud of that.
Wait, Norm, I got to tell you, you already have me beat because they've been trying for 15 episodes to get my wife on camera, and she's still eluding it. So you already have me beat in one episode.
If you listen really carefully, you can hear Jasmine in the background there.
You're doing a great job, Mark. Keep it up.
Well, we're not sure she exists.
Let me in. Let me in.
Oh my goodness. You know, that's the first time I realized that they were changing my name to Where's Jasmine? I never knew that.
There have actually been some quite good bits of this, haven't there? I mean, I don't remember any of them, but it was nice to be reminded.
Do they give Emmys to web shows? Because I don't know, that's a pretty good run right there. Let's be the new category. Let's make it happen.
Lots of moments there. There was a moment, Nick, you had some scruff, like a little mustache was growing in. It was a nice look. I forgot about it.
It was lockdown, you know. We all did strange things.
I mean, Dale Romans being compared to Santa Claus. I don't think he still has that beard, though. And I don't know if he's won a derby yet.
I love seeing Chad Brown again because we've spoken about the mango martinis so much. So just seeing him revved up on the mango martinis again just, made me happy again.
And of course, it's all dressed up with nowhere to go.
I forgot just how charged up Chad was, but he was absolutely brilliant. Let's have a buttered bourbon.
Are you guys ready for this? This is
butter my bourbon, Mark, if you will.
This is a real deal cocktail right here. So we are going to make hot buttered bourbon, but let's talk a little bit about hot buttered rum, because that's the original drink, right? So I know it sounds weird, and I wasn't really convinced before I tried it either, but hot buttered rum was actually very, very popular in colonial days. All right. So actually, before the American Revolution, rum was the spirit of choice here in the colonies. And the reason for that was they actually had a ready supply of molasses coming up from British-controlled Caribbean islands. And they were taking that molasses and they were distilling it into a whole bunch of rum. And when I tell you that the colonists liked their rum, I'm not kidding. They drank a bunch of it. So one, it was cheap, so that was great, but they also felt like it fortified them. They thought it was truly good for you, that it fortified your spirit and your soul. So they were putting rum into all sorts of different types of drinks. So a lot of them work well for the holidays, actually. Eggnog, hot toddies, and of course, hot buttered rum. And just as the name implies, there is real butter in this drink. So there's probably no better way to describe it than to just show you how to make it. So I'm going to go back to my split screen here, and you're going to get a full view. Yeah,
wow,
real.
that's a lot of butter.
This is a full stick. It's getting washed out a little bit in the light, but a full stick of unsalted butter is what we're going to start with. Don't worry, we're not having all of that. We're going to make several cocktails out of this. But here's the thing. We start this cocktail by making a batter. So it's going to look like we're making cookies for probably the first 2/3 of this demo, and then we're going to take a sharp left turn into Adultville and add booze to it. But for the most part, we're starting by making this batter. That batter you can actually freeze, or you can keep it in your refrigerator for quite some time. And then when you go to make each hot buttered bourbon or rum, all you have to do is a couple scoops of that batter, the spirit of your choice, and hot water. So it's kind of this pre-made mix that you're doing ahead of time to get yourself ready for these drinks. So we're starting with a full stick of unsalted butter. To that, we're going to add 2/3 of a cup of brown sugar. I'm actually using Demerara sugar here.
Yeah, I'm waiting.
Making what?
Cookies.
And that's exactly what it is. It doesn't have eggs in there, but I feel like otherwise I could scoop this out onto a baking sheet and we'd probably get a delicious cookie out of it. But so already we're off to a good start. Look at this mixture. We've got butter and brown sugar. To that, we are going to add some spices. So here's a little hack that I came up with. Traditionally, we would add ground cloves, cinnamon, and nutmeg. But I found that pumpkin pie spice, that dried spice that you can buy, has all three of those ingredients. And it also has some cardamom and ginger, which I actually think helps the situation. It gives a little bit of levity. So instead of doing 3 separate dried spices, you could do like I'm doing here, 1 teaspoon of the pumpkin pie spice. We're going to drizzle that on top here. And next, we're going to add a little pinch of salt. So I've mentioned in the past that salt really makes everything taste better. Even sweet preparations, it tends to bring out the flavors a little bit more. So a little salt to offset some of that sweetness. We're going to add some honey because we don't have enough sweetness already here with 2/3 a cup of brown sugar. Let's add 2 ounces of honey. So that's going to go right into this mixture.
You're petrified.
I know. I had a feeling I was going to get some interesting reactions on this one. But it actually is delicious, I got to tell you. So that's going right on top. And I think that's pretty much it. We're going to add just a splash of vanilla extract.
I'm worried about the salt.
The salt?
Yeah. Well, I mean, I'm thinking when I'm drinking my cocktail, I don't. Do I want that salty taste?
So that's a great question, Nick. So the amount of salt that we added is they call it sub-threshold for what you're going to perceive. So it's bringing out the flavors.
It's like a drugs test.
What's that?
It's like a drugs test.
Yes. So the salt would not come out as positive for the drug test.
So you're under the
Yeah, to be honest with you, actually, I've read a lot of studies.
Trainers take note.
Yeah, I've read a lot of studies that actually say that say that you can add salt to almost every cocktail and it'll make it taste better, but it's just a little bit of salt. And without getting too far off track, saline solution has become sort of an ingredient over the past couple of years in mixology. So a lot of people are adding this kind of a weak solution of salt and water in a couple drops of their cocktails. You're not going to taste the saltiness, but it kind of seasons the drink out. So that's a great question, Nick. It's not going to taste salty. We're just going to kind of round out the flavors. So what we want to do is, I should have mentioned, you want to start with sort of a room temperature stick of butter here. Otherwise, it's going to be very difficult to incorporate all this. But this one has been sitting out for the better part of the show, and we're just going to slowly kind of incorporate this together. All right, that looks like it's going to take a while, right? It does take a little while. So we're going to do a little studio magic here. This is our batter once it comes together. So it does very much look like cookie dough.
Yes.
Right? So we're going to start with our mug. Actually, the first thing I'm going to do is heat up some water. I've got a little electric heater here. We're going to do 2 scoops of our hot buttered bourbon batter here. Let's say that 10 times fast. So 2 scoops into our glass.
Hot buttered bourbon.
Buttered bourbon batter.
Hot buttered bourbon batter.
Buttered bourbon batter.
Yep.
That's her with an accent.
So this, especially over the past day when the snow was coming down, I'll be honest with you guys, I never tried hot buttered bourbon or rum until about 3 or 4 days ago as I was getting this recipe ready. And I was also apprehensive, but I said, you know what? I think it's going to work well. And I fell in love with it. It's not the sort of thing you can have too often, but if you want a nice decadent treat going into the holidays, this is definitely it. So to this, we're going to add 2 ounces of our Maker's Mark bourbon. At this point, 29 different Maker's Mark cocktails that we made on this show. Absolutely incredible. Tito's as well. Fantastic supporters of the Breeders' Cup. And it's just amazing to go back and look at all the different drinks that we've done with just 2 spirits. And it kind of shows you the versatility of what we're working with behind the bar. So I'm going to stir this together a little bit while my water heats up, which I probably should have started a little bit earlier. So Nick, I don't know if you have a joke.
Bourbon. Oh. What about any Christmas carols?
Not from me. I can get my daughter to sing if you want.
We were thinking that maybe after a couple cocktails, we thought we might be singing ourselves. Didn't quite happen. All right, so I think this is good enough here. I'm going to pull over my hot water. Sorry to reach on screen. And I'm going to slowly add this to our mixture and just stir as I go.
I got that little warming kettle for my mom for Mother's Day.
Oh, it's so perfect. And it actually heats the water up really, really fast.
It's really pretty too.
It is, yeah. And what I like, it has that long neck that allows for that even stream. When I'm making my coffee in the morning, we've started doing the pour overs with the Chemex coffee makers, and this works out perfectly. All right, so you can already see.
Less like a cookie now, more like a drink.
Yeah, it's starting to get to the drink level. Yeah, it's a bit of a process to get it from solid to liquid. But you can see the creaminess already kind of setting in here. Again, it's a decadent treat. And once we get all the way to the top and you see that everything's been incorporated properly, we're just going to sprinkle with a little bit of nutmeg. So fresh nutmeg. This is a luxurious treat.
Never actually come in and asked you for one of these.
Only once. Yeah, luckily, we had a more senior bartender at the 21 Club who had made it before because I didn't know where to start. One person ordered it, and that's 12 years of bartending. But I think someone even said that this is really more of a home preparation. It's not the sort of thing that you're likely to have ordered at a bar. This is kind of along the lines of eggnog, where if it's not already batched at a bar or being advertised at a bar, you're probably just going to be making it in the comfort of your own home, like I've been doing with my batters all week here. So this is our
discussion. Eggnog.
It is, and I make a good eggnog, and I love eggnog.
No, eggnog is no for me. That looks beautiful.
It's
it does
actually
resemble a hot toddy, but I have a feeling it's a little bit sweeter.
It is sweeter. You get the strength from the bourbon, but you also get the spices. And that's why I like using that pumpkin pie spice, because those little bits of cardamom and ginger add some nuance in addition to those kind of traditional spices of the clove, the nutmeg, and the cinnamon. But again, I wasn't really a believer at first, but after I tried it, I fell in love. Hopefully you guys give it a go. I know it's a lot of butter, but just go for it. It's the holidays.
Jeff Hall asks, is it anathema? And I think, episode 29, back end of, anathema's strong game from Jeff. Is it anathema to add whipped cream on top of that? I just tried it.
I think that's a great idea. Why not?
If it's not rich enough already, then
Why not? I think you have to double down sometimes. Like, when you get a Frappuccino at Starbucks, I mean, I don't know if you get Frappuccinos at Starbucks, Nick. You don't strike me as the type, but you have to double down sometimes. I don't know. I just can't picture you going into Starbucks and ordering a caramel Frappuccino.
I like a caramel latte Frappuccino as much as the next man.
Well, the fact that you just referred to it as a latte Frappuccino gives me my answer. So
I want to know what it is.
How about our final cocktail of 2020?
Caramel light Frappuccino. That's the one I have sometimes, because apparently there's not any calories in it. Anyway, can we have a look back at some more highlights from Cocktails and Conversation?
Our final highlight reel.
Our final. Not ever, just this year.
Just this year.
Willkommen, bienvenue, welcome.
Oh, I hate that one.
Conversation with the Assignation.
What got you your Broadcaster of the Year award?
Racing smorgasbord of Mark Tubridy in Brooklyn.
Utter rubbish as usual.
In Los Angeles, California, and me, Nick Luck, I'm afraid to say, in Teddington, Southwest London. Cheers to you both. Great to see you again. We have got some show lined up for you. All the Todd Pletcher trained, currently active styers in the time it takes Mark Tubridy to do this. You keep shaking, Mark, and I'll try. All right. Courtesy of the Thoroughbred Daily News. Here we go. AKI Algorithms always dreaming anchor down, Army Mule Audible, back highs, boisterous company, and Cole Frank.
When you get bit by the horse racing bug, it's like no other feeling. I try and just explain to people that, how do you like describe the feeling of when your horse wins? And it's so hard to describe. If you could just bottle it up and sell it on the street as a drug, it'd be the most popular thing in the world, because it's just the best feeling when you see your horse in the lead coming down the stretch.
Constitution cross traffic downs at Dusty.
I feel like I'm a little behind because I haven't started drinking yet, but I'm going to make the other drink with you.
Awesome. The Boulevardier?
Yeah. Besides horse racing and Kentucky, the other thing I'm obsessed with is Italy. So I kind of love this cocktail. So I took some honey and I took some Calabrian chilies from the south of Italy and some mustard. And then all I do is I just kind of drizzle it on top of the chicken, just as it's nice and warm. And then I sprinkle a little bit of some lime zest. The favorite parts of my life, honestly, that this game affords me is 6:30 a.m. Saratoga, any day of the week, just watching the horses go by. Cup of coffee in my hand, mediocre egg sandwich. I'm good. It's like, but I don't want it to be anything other than that.
To get a stakes win at Saratoga in the first couple of years of owning horses, just a bucket list experience.
This is not a reality doc shit. Dominus Sector, English Channel, Gemologist, Giants, Price Golden, Black, Radar, Greenpoint Crusader, half hours.
Here we go. There he is. He's our producer there, everybody, on the top left, if he's top left for you. Stuart S. Inquiry, named after the result of the Derby 2019. And there's Nacho.
Nacho.
The largest feline I've ever seen outside of a jungle.
Wow. Look at that.
Cat.
Serious cat.
How did he get his name?
I don't know. He looks like nacho cheese.
Hi, happy brackets Argentina. Hunt Crossing, Jack Milton, Keen Ice Coast, Antigua, Roxy Williams, Limehouse, made from Lucky Mike, Managed Mission Impossible.
And that's what the Breeders' Cup is all about. You're just binging all day, watching all these great horses get together, and that's what makes it so much fun.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's like the Olympics of horse racing. But what about for you? What stands out about the Breeders' Cup?
Yeah, I think so too. And it's more isolated to horse racing people and from all over the world. I love going to breakfast, whatever the local hangout is. And you'll have the French people and the English people and the Japanese. And I love the international aspect. I mean, it's our World Cup, really.
National flag, Neolithic, Outwork, Palace, Malice, Protonico, Quality Road Race Day, Ready to
I remember Donald Trump was in there one year. He was off in the corner.
Oh, look at this.
Was it a dirty martini? What's the drink of choice, Bo?
Yeah, he came with the house.
In a battle of the sexes in the Belmont Stakes, it is Curlin on the inside, Rags to Riches on the outside. A desperate finish. Rags to Riches and Curlin. They're coming down to the wire. It's going to be very close, and it's going to be a filly in the Belmont.
So I'll use this moment to give my Rags to Riches should be in the Hall of Fame speech. And, she's, I think, 3 years in a row they've dismissed her, but I keep hoping that she'll get there. I think some of the criticism is she didn't make enough starts. And I think some people don't realize that in addition to this, she also won the Kentucky Oaks, the Santa Anita Oaks, Santa Ynez. I mean, she was a very, very special filly. And in my eyes, especially when you look back at the way they finished that race, and she beat a 2-time Horse of the Year in Curlin, you know, to me, that's Hall of Fame material.
You're up for this year, Todd, entry to the Hall of Fame this year for next. So perhaps the tactic is to say, thanks very much, kind of you, but I'm not coming in unless she comes with me.
I'm not coming without her. I can
Right?
tell you one thing I learned during the shutdown. Cutting your own hair is way more difficult than it looks.
Spacedown, Stanford, Stay Thirsty, Stone-Sided, Tamarind, Turbo Compressor, Uncle No, Uncle Vinny, Vito Rosso, Violence and Winning Cause. I must have missed one out.
Oh my goodness, Todd, look at what you did to Mark with all of your sires.
Mark's worn out.
Oh,
Brilliant.
And Ernie Munich, who has put all those highlights reels together. Thank you, sir,
Thank
because
you.
you've actually made us
Amazing.
You made us look more funnier than we actually are.
yeah, you're
That was
quite,
really amazing.
quite loquacious.
Loquacious, yeah, to a fault, I would say. Right, the hat can go back on, I think, for the last knockings of this sophomoric nonsense.
turn the Christmas tree up a notch again to bring us out.
Yeah, can we make it go completely? Anyone who's got issues with it by now, I'm afraid, is
That ship has sailed, I think.
For
There you
all
go.
of our viewers out there, all of our supporters, you know, all 60 of them, I can't express how much fun this has been. And during what has been a horrendous year for a lot of people, I just want to say thank you for all of the support that they've brought us and allowing us to take an hour to 2 hours of your time every week for the past however many months to step into your room virtually and make some cocktails and have some wonderful guests on and share some stories, and thanks for providing us with laughs and tears and all of the above, because it's been something I look forward to every week. I'm going to miss it, no doubt.
Me too.
be in no doubt, unapologetically, we have indulged ourselves completely, and you have aided and abetted that. But we've been so lucky to be joined by some of the true greats of the sport, and you just looked at through those highlights reels. It was slightly surreal. I had to pinch myself, thinking, my word, not only have we talked to Laffit Pincay tonight, but Angel Cordero just the other day, and Frankie Dettori earlier in the year, and Bob Baffert and Chad Brown and Graham Motion and Dale Romans, Kenny McPeak, things that were both touching and prophetic, and everything. It's been a great part of our lives this year. So thanks for coming along for the ride. And to the correspondent a few moments ago who said I was hammered in one of the episodes, how dare you?
Guys, I just want to say thank you from the bottom of my heart for including me in this. I think I'm kind of the new guy in town here doing this type of broadcasting, but you made me feel so welcome every single week, including me in this incredible journey. You know, this is a sport that is just so full of heart, so full of legends, and you guys are just so amazing about bringing out all of those fantastic stories. So this has been a treat for me. Thank you to the entire Breeders' Cup team, all of our producers. This has been a truly special experience for me, and definitely one of the biggest, brightest moments of this pretty tough year. So thank you.
Your family, Mark. And hey, keep us posted. Let us know how we can help one of our family members and you in the 21 Club, because we'll be keeping our eye out. Hopefully that will turn around. And again, like you said, big thank you to all of our producers, Caitlin Christopherson, Jordan Moore, of course, the man, Pete Rotondo, who we would not be here without his lovely wife, Shona Rotondo, Molly McGill, just everybody at Grand Slam Social. This has been a lot of fun. And thanks to Jasmine for not showing up.
Where's Jasmine? I see the thing switching now. No, it's not happening. Next season.
This is not goodbye, though. This is au revoir. And you'll remember that at the end of season. Well, I look back on it today, and the urban myth had it that I said at the end of the first show, we'll see you again next week. But actually, at the beginning of the first show, I said, welcome to a brand new series. They
so
were
tee us up for the next season, Nick.
So yeah, we'll be back with you again in the new year. We will. And, it's been an absolute blast. Brittany, Mark, you're the best.
Love you guys.
Very happy holidays, everybody. A very happy 2021. Frankly, 2020, apart from this, can do one. Roll on the next year and lots more laughs, lots more fun. And we can all get together and do it maybe in the revamped 21 Club. How about that? There we are. That'll be a solution for you. I think that's it. It's episode 29. We're out. No night. Stay tuned.
Thanks, guys. Together than we were torn apart once more. Back in our homes, if not our spiritual homes, with you for another edition of Cocktails and Conversation. Yes, you thought as you breathed the sigh of relief last Wednesday evening, that was it. That was it for the hijinks and frolics that this program had brought you since lockdown began in April. But not a bit of it. We just can't get enough. We are junkies for this show, not to mention for the Breeders' Cup. So the build up to 2021 just begins right here.
Before we add ice to our cocktail shaker, we're going to go ahead and start rimming our cocktail glass. So we're sort of thinking ahead here. We start to shake our cocktail. It's all nice and cold. It's sitting on the ice, and then we rim the glass. We want to make sure we do that first so that as soon as this cocktail is done, it can go directly into the glass and to your guest, or in this case, I guess, me. But so let's go ahead, and we're going to take our martini glass, which has been pre-chilling, dump out the ice. And now if you have something like that, like ice that you're chilling your martini glass, I would recommend go ahead and dry that off quickly. Because when you're doing a sugar rim, you don't want that excess moisture around. That's going to make for a messy rim, and you don't want that. Messy. As soon as we've done that, while the lemon juice is so fresh there, we're going to just dip it gently into our sugar.
Mark, I think this has been a tour de force. I think this has been your best performance so far.
I don't know about that, but I appreciate that.
We'll see you next week with more fun frolics and a sugary rim. Mark Tubridy, thank you very much. Well.
It's hot in here.